Okay, so we already told you that number 2 will be on your test from the warm-up. So you should have already copied it down. You should have a star next to it. You should have number 2 fully copied down because I'm telling you that it's going to be on your test. Like that question will be on your test. We are still in Module 3. We are still doing lessons 21 through 26. And we are moving on to triangular prisms. So you might have to go back to Tuesday's notes. My first question to you is, what makes something a triangular prism? What makes it a prism first? So go back to Tuesday's notes. You're going to need to take a look. There's a definition for prism. Leland.
Must have two identical parallel bases.
Okay, so they have to have 2 identical and parallel bases. What would both of the bases have to have as a shape if it's a triangular prism? Corbin, what's the shape going to be in a triangular prism?
Triangle.
Triangle. Okay, so both bases have to be a triangle. Now, I've got 2 shapes here, neither of which are triangular prisms. A lot of my students have had trouble with this in the past and have said, Mr. H, look at all those triangles, that's a triangular prism. No. Notice how it's coming to a point. Notice how it's coming to a point. Do I have parallel anythings here? No. What are these called if they come up to a point like this? Jackson?
A pyramid.
Yeah, these are pyramids. These are not triangular prisms. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to draw a little bit for me right now. This is going to take a little bit of effort. So I'm going to go slow. I'm going to help you out here. First, you're going to draw a right triangle. Make sure you have the right angle in there. Go to the bottom right point and then go up. Draw a dashed line that's about the same length. Draw a dashed line that's about the same length. And put your right angle in there. If I am drawing a prism, what do we know about these 2 things? If this is going to be a prism, based off of Leland's definition of prism, what do we know about these 2 triangles? If you have some, I'd like you to go back to your notes, take a look. I should have more than just one hand up that knows what the answer is. So go back to your notes. What do we know about prisms? What does it say about a prism? Time. Oh, 2 identical and parallel. So if these are both triangles and I'm telling you I'm drawing a prism, they're parallel, but they're also absolutely identical. Stephen, if this bottom right here is 22 inches, what does the bottom over here have to be? 22 inches, okay. So now to make my prism, I connect the corresponding parts. This is tough for students to see. Even though it's resting on a rectangle, the rectangle is not the base. The bases are the 2 identical pieces. So I'm going to help. Shade in the base that's closer to you and draw an arrow and say that that is a capital B. Capital B is going to stand for something, but right now it's going to stand for base. Can I put a capital B somewhere else that's another base? Where else? Trent?
The opposite side.
Yeah, the opposite side or the other triangle. Those are both my bases. Everybody still with me there? Jackson, head up, buddy. Thanks, man. Or there's another way to show this. I can also have a triangular prism that's standing on its end. In this case, the bases would still be the triangles, this guy and this guy. You could see both of them, so you're going to have both of these pictures copied down. The difference between the triangular prisms are the way that it's laying. So if it's laying on a rectangle, then the sides are here, or it could be laying face up and down, and then the base is on the bottom. But it doesn't matter which way it is. We know that the two identical parallel sides are my bases, which are going to form triangles. Everybody with me? Okay. There's a lot that we're going to have to know beforehand when we do this. So, you should have watched the video talking about how to find area of triangles. Let's review real quick. Because today, if I was teaching a geometry class, this is not how I would teach it. Because big B stands for something else when we're actually dealing with geometry. But listen, you're 7th graders, I'm going to try to make it a little bit easier for you. You're not taking geometry today. Big B, for us, stands for area of the triangle. Really, big B stands for area of the base. It doesn't matter what the base is. In this case, what of our bases? What shapes are our bases, Stephen? Triangles, which is why it's the area of the triangle. Who remembers the formula for area of the triangle? So if you think you have an idea of what the area of the triangle is, it's not going to be necessarily in your notes. It might be on your formula sheet. Ella?
Base times height divided by 2, base times height multiplied by 1/2.
Good. 1/2 base times height. This is going to be something that you absolutely have to know. In order to get the surface area of triangular prisms, you're going to have to know what big B stands for. Sophia, are you leaving, honey? Let me get you your homework. Thank you. Have a good day. The video will be online, okay? But there's one more letter that we haven't seen yet. Well, I mean, you've seen it because you know the alphabet. I hope you know the alphabet. Oh, man. I can see somebody just putting their hand up going, Mr. H, I don't know what that is. And me being very, very confused. But, so I hope you've seen this letter. It's a lowercase p. In mathematics, we have several words that start with p, plus, percent, all parentheses. What do you think I want p to stand for in this? Mr. Ryan? Very good. This is the perimeter of the base. But it's not just the perimeter of the base. What base are we dealing with? What is it going to be the perimeter of? Be very, very specific. Leland? Yeah, it's going to be the perimeter of the triangle. So you need to know these two things. Okay, you need to know these two things. Well, Mr. H, I don't. Okay, well, let's see if we can learn them. So, here's going to be our example. Here's my triangle. 5 inches, 12 inches, 13 inches. I want you to find big B. I want you to find little p. Just of this triangle here. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. I want to hear you talking with your groups. See if you can find a big B and little p by substituting in. Go.
No. Why do you say that? Well, it's based on the base is 5 inches.
Really?
Face your base is 12.
No, did you just hear? What do you think base is? What do you think base is?
You'll have to read it on Facebook.
He has like Facebook Live.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw it and draw it first.
30 more seconds. Okay, here we go. So, Chase, you ready? Okay, well, can I walk you through it at least? Okay. So, Chase, what's the formula for big B?
1/2 times base times.
Okay. So I'm going to put in big B equals 1/2 times. What do you think the base is of this triangle? Which one of those numbers? 5. Good. What do you think the height is of this triangle? Okay. So, listen folks, there's an easy way to figure out what the base and the height is of an individual triangle. You need to find the right angle. What two sides does the right angle touch? Well, it touches 12, it touches 5. That's how I know that those are my bases and my height. Does it matter the order that they go in?
No.
Nope. So now we're going to keep on going. So now I have big B equals, with your calculators, if you haven't done so, do 1 divided by 2 times 5 times 12. And I hope it leaves me with 30.
Yep.
In this case, because it's base, which is the area of the triangle, area means the units have to be inches squared. Stop, 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 stop. Not in front of my video. What do you need, buddy?
I forgot my calculator.
What number?
1.
Okay. I almost had to start it all over again. Whew. Okay, so now we've got base is 30 inches squared. Everybody with me? Last but not least, we've got to find the little p. Tell me exactly what I need to do to find the perimeter of this triangle. Maya, what do I need to do? How do I find the perimeter? What is perimeter, Maya?
The base of the triangle.
Not the base of a triangle. Let's come back.
Like all the numbers around it added.
Oh, so we're going to add up all of the numbers on the outside edges. So Maya, what's the perimeter of a triangle?
All the numbers that
Okay, so it's going to be all the numbers. So tell me, how am I going to find the perimeter?
12
Oh, good. 12 plus 13 plus 5. Because perimeter is the outside edge of a figure. So that then gives me, that's 25 plus 5. Oh, it also gives me 30 inches. Now I had somebody in my first hour say, hey, Mr. H, is the base and the perimeter always going to be the same? No. They won't always be the same. It just happened to work for this one. Everybody with me so far? Okay. So here's our mammer jammer for the day. Let's find surface area of triangular prisms. How many bases do I have in a triangular prism? How many bases? What does that say? 2. I'm going to have 2 times big B, because big B is the area of the triangle. How many triangles? 2. Everybody with me? Plus. There's rectangles, and we're going to have to find the area of each individual rectangle. But I don't want to spend all my time doing each individual rectangle. So instead of doing that, I can say height times perimeter. Colin, keep your head up, please, sir. Okay, this is my formula. You need to have this. Copy it down. Looks very easy up here. You know why? Because it is. I'm going to make it even easier once you see the figure. So it's surface area of triangular prisms is 2 times big B plus H times P. Okay, so here's our first example. Find surface area. And we're going to have this triangular prism. You're going to want to copy this down. You're going to want this example in your notes. So let's go, oh man, let's go 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, and I think it was 10 inches. Have this copied down, please. You will want this example in your notes. So, like your homework that was due today, you had 3 things that you had to do on a separate piece of paper. Today, you're going to have to do a little bit more for me. With triangular prisms, I'm going to want you to look at the prism and think you're going to grab just one of the bases. What's the shape of one of the bases, Trenton? What's the shape of a base of a what?
Triangle.
Triangle. I'm going to grab the triangle and I'm going to redraw it over here. You're going to do this for every single problem. You are going to redraw the triangle. I promise you that this will make it easier. How can I promise you that it will make it easier? Well, how many of you are 13 years old? Oh, no, nobody's older than 13, right? For the most part, you're 13. You've been alive as long as I've been teaching. I've had a lot of experience seeing what works, what doesn't work. So yes, it's more work for you, but I promise you that it will break, conceptually, it breaks things down much easier. So, if I've pulled this triangle and placed it here, what distance is the bottom of this triangle? Hannah, what's going to be the bottom of this triangle in inches? 3 inches, good. Chase, from this bottom corner to the top, what inch is that going to be?
4.
Good. Okay, now the tough one. Calissa, from this corner to this corner, which is the hypotenuse of a right triangle, what's that going to be? Very good. 5 inches. How do I know that? Well, if I pulled this triangle, the bottom's 3, this one's 4. This hypotenuse here is the same as this one because they're identical. Once I have that triangle, guess what 2 things I'm going to ask you to find? What 2 things do you think I'm going to have you find? Hannah? Yeah, big B and little p. So with your group, I'd like you to find the area of this triangle, which is big B, and I'd like you to find the perimeter of this triangle. Do so now.
Inches
What do you guys do? Nice. That's perfect. That's fine. It's perfect. Chase, that's awesome. Good job, bud. Hold on, see what you got. Nice. Very good, dude.
I got to switch.
Okay, Corbin, you're going to help me substitute in with numbers, okay? Can you help me substitute in for what big B is going to be with numbers? Not the actual answer, but what I would put in for the formula. 1/2 times?
3 times 4.
Good. 1/2 times 3 times 4. Again, how do I know what my base and my height are? Where my right angles meeting. Okay? Those are my bases and heights. So let's finish off here. So now I'm left over with base equals. Stephen, what'd you get for 1/2 times 3 times 4?
12.
Well, 3 times 4 is 12. What's 1/2 of 12?
6
Very good. But it's not just 6, it's 6 what?
inches squared.
Very good. Inches squared. Okay, Jaden, you ready for me? Do you think you know how to do the perimeter? Go ahead. What am I going to substitute in to find the perimeter?
You add everything.
Okay, so
Plus 4 out 5 plus 4 plus 3, and I got 12.
very good, Jaden. I think you said 5 plus 4 plus 3, and you said little p is 12 inches. Everybody with me still? Question so far. Once I have big B and I have the little p, now we can find out the surface area. So surface area is 2 times big B. So this is still your first step. You're going to substitute in 2 times. What is big B? Everybody should be able to look at this and say, big B is, Colin. Yeah, 6 inches squared, so 2 times 6 plus. Well, now this is the only tricky part. H is not the height of the triangle. It's the height between the bases. What's the height between the bases? Carter? Yeah. So once we've done B and P, I don't want to look at that anymore. The height is between these two bases, which is 10. So now it's plus 10 times the perimeter, which is what? Leland?
12.
12. There's step 1 is substitution. Step 2, we find the products. So 2 times 6 is 12, plus 10 times 12 is 120. Third step, we find the sum, which is 132. Do I leave it like this? Trini, what do I need to put with 132? Inches what, if we're finding area? What? Squared. Very good, honey. Okay, so listen, may I steal this real quick? On your homework, we're going to do one more example. On your homework, this is the work that I expect to see on a separate piece of paper. You don't have to redraw that figure, but I need to see you redrawing the triangle, finding B in lowercase p, and finding my 3 steps there. Okay, it's going to be tight, but I want to show you one more example. Mrs. Armstrong is going to be passing out your homework.
You don't need to worry about it.
Yep, because first off, you're not going to be doing them all. There's only 3 questions you're going to do, and if you look at that, you're going to feel overwhelmed. So, we're going to do one more. So I've got 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, and 7 inches. You are going to do for me the redraw, big B, little p, and surface area. Once you have big B and little p, call us. We'll come around and tell you whether you can move on to the surface area or not. Again, work it out with your group. Make sure you put everything
What I meant, and I didn't draw it. I just drew it to like one triangle.
I did.
Pardon.
Oh my goodness.
I'm looking, can you redraw that triangle? And can you put the lengths and the measurements correctly on it? Where's your 12? There you go. Go to surface area. I'm going to give you 1 more minute so that we can go over the homework.
The reverse thing.
So, what's the base of the triangle? I'm not worried about it. Where's the bottom of the triangle?
I know we find them.
What did you start? What's the side of the triangle?
Trying to find your work.
What's on the side of the triangle? Is this part of the triangle?
Label that triangle.
That's the triangle. Okay, what is on the side? Does it go on? There you go. What's the other side of the triangle? So is this part of the triangle? There you go. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of good things. So I saw a lot of you know that the bottom of the triangle was 6 inches. The side of the triangle was 8 inches. The hypotenuse of the triangle was 10 inches. And then I would say half of us got to these steps because the base and the height are where the right angle touch the sides. So that leaves me base equals 1/2 of 6 is 3 times 8 is 24 inches squared. There's my base. And I saw probably, again, half of you say, man, perimeter's easy. I know to add 6 plus 8 plus 10, which lo and behold also gives me 24 inches. Mr. H, did you plan that? No, I didn't. But once I have capital B and lowercase p, then we can substitute into my surface area. Somebody who feels confident, I want you to tell me exactly how I would substitute in. Time.
2 times 24 plus 8 times 24.
Okay, so my question to you, Tyne, is what's the distance between the two bases? Because that's going to be our height. So Tyne said, hey, the 8 is the height of the triangle, which is the common mistake. I'm not picking on you, I'm not making fun. That's what a lot of you are going to do and say, the height of the triangle is 8, so I'm going to use 8 as my h. Well, that's not what surface area is talking about. It's asking us what's the height, what's the distance between the two triangles. And in this case, it's going to be 7. So we should be writing this down. So now I've got step 1. Step 2 is find the products. That's 48. Plus, this should give me 8, carry the 2, 14, 168. Last but not least, that gives me 48 plus 168, which I hope is 216. Am I done?
No.
Why am I not done? Gannon.
Inches squared.
Inches squared. So one more time, on your homework, on a separate piece of paper, this is going to be on the worksheet. Stop, please. You're not moving yet. This is going to be on the worksheet. You don't have to copy that down. You need to, on the separate piece, redraw a triangle, find the base and the perimeter, then substitute it in. So you only have 3 questions for homework because there is more work. On that homework, circle number 3, number 10, and number 15. So again, circle number 3, number 10, and number 15. I should be seeing on a separate piece of paper the redrawn triangle, how you found capital B, how you found lowercase p, and then 3 steps on how you found the surface area. Are there any questions? Get started.